Hey everyone, Metagross Freak here. I know it's been a while since I have done a Borderlands 2 or Borderlands the pre-sequel video. Actually, it's been a while since I've done any video related to Borderlands now that I think about it. And that was mostly because I was having an issue with my Borderlands 2. Um, I think I did a video about this, but basically the long story of it short was I could not play Borderlands 2. I talked to 2K as well as Gearbox as well as Steam. No one could figure out what was going on, and basically for about 6 months I was incapable of playing Borderlands 2, which is one of my favorite games to play with one of my best friends, Josh. And that kind of made me really sad. So for a while I wasn't playing any Borderlands, and then Pokemon Sun and Moon came out, and so me playing Moon filled in some of that time. So I haven't really been able to play a lot of Borderlands until now, and it's been since August. So now that I've gotten back into it, I really wanted to make a video showing you my favorite items in Borderlands the pre-sequel. Now, a lot of these items can be obtained in Borderlands 2 as well. I will state if they can be, but I wanted to show you some of my favorite weapons in Borderlands 2 and the pre-sequel. Mostly surprised. Actually, I was actually really surprised that there's a lot of pistols in here. There are a couple SMGs I like, but unfortunately, most of the SMGs I like in Borderlands 2 are the Sandhawk and the Plasma Casters, which are exclusive to Borderlands 2, and you can't get them in pre-sequel. Now, in case you're wondering why I'm not doing this as a separate video, I actually have a like a cheat engine weapon item creator. I have an item creator for the pre-sequel. I had an item creator for Borderlands 2, but it doesn't work. So unfortunately, I can only make items here. If I wanted items in Borderlands 2, I'd have to have my friend Josh here, but unfortunately he's not. So, in fact, I'm kind of making this video for him. Not really for him, but kind of as a thanks to him. So, I'm going to go through some of my favorite weapons in Borderlands, the pre-sequel, and Borderlands 2, using the save file of my level 70 Claptrap. So I guess I'm going to start off with the pistols. So let me just pull a bunch of pistols up, and I'll kind of talk about what makes each pistol cool, like why I like each weapon. This isn't necessarily a top 5, a top 10, it's just kind of me showing off weapons and explaining what I like about them. So the first weapon is the pepper box. The pepper box can only be obtained through glitch rarity, meaning you need the Claptastic Voyage, and it is a Jacob's pistol with a Vladoff barrel. And I also have the 2 for prefix on it, which means unlike the pepper box, which normally fires 2 projectiles, and the 2 for prefix, which fires 2 projectiles, you'd expect to shoot 4, but it only shoots 3 at the cost of 4. Though if you look at that fire rate, we have 15.3 fire rate, and since it's a glitch weapon, you can in fact get the I don't know. I'm standing over there. I should go where you can clearly see bullets. You can get a cool loop glitch. So I personally prefer the Hyperion sight. It's a really cool weapon. You can spam it really easily. Not as easily as the Maggie. Now that little flash you're seeing at the end is unfortunately Claptrap's, what's it called? Claptrap's one last thing ability. But it's pretty cool. If you can get a glitch effect on it, it shoots really fast. And other than this is basically your poor man's Maggie. It's essentially just a Jacobs that shoots really fast. Oh, here we go. This one is the basically the shotgun glitch. Oh, go away, Claptrap. Let me show you what that looks like after these particles go away. So you see that now for the cost of an additional 3 ammo, it was shooting 5 extra projectiles. Um, so yeah, the pepper box is one of my favorite items, and especially because it was an item that I discovered on my own because one spawned when I played the Claptastic Voyage. So it's a special item to me, though not as special as the Maggie. And the Maggie is the legendary pistol I kind of have the most of. I almost always seem to find one whenever I'm doing a playthrough of almost any character. Like, I think it's safe to say that basically every character I've ever played in Borderlands 2 has a Maggie that I've just found through just random world drops. And sometimes I found multiple Maggies on characters. Like, I think my gauge has found one Maggie on each playthrough. It's a little ridiculous. I love the Maggie. It's basically a shotgun pistol, similar to the Pepper Box, but it has more projectiles and it has a higher fire rate. Not as crazy high as the Pepper Box, but it's a really good weapon to fire just to spam enemies straight in the face with tons of projectiles. And it's got a cool skin too. Normally it's kind of like a purplish pink, though as you can see here with the Loonshine effect, it kind of makes it a little more blue when it adds in the line stuff. I have, of course, modded all of these to have Loonshine effects. Next up is the 88 Fragnum, which is a variant of the Unkempt Herald, which is arguably the best pistol in all of Borderlands 2. The Fragnum is essentially kind of the same thing, except it has a little more random of a spread rather than a linear spread. And it's a fantastic gun. It does massive damage. It's basically the equivalent of having a Torgue shotgun that uses pistol ammo. And then the last pistol is the Probe. And the Probe is kind of like it's kind of a bit like the Grog Nozzle. If you're familiar with the Grog Nozzle, it's basically the same thing. It has low damage by comparison, and it has a good elemental chance, and it has a high healing. I believe the Grog Nozzle heals you for a third of its damage. Meanwhile, the Probe only heals you for about 10%, though don't credit me on that. Don't quote me on that. But like, as you can see, by comparison, the binary Probe does only about half as much damage, just the base damage, that is. Well, he has about about a fourth as much as the other two legendaries, and the Pepper Box is just kind of ridiculous because item parts. But by comparison, it does a lot less damage than these like multi-projectile pistols, even though it's the same level, and it has perfect parts. Next up, I want to go over the shotgun. Actually, not the shotgun, the lasers. Sorry. Lasers are probably my favorite item type, and this isn't necessarily because lasers are broken. They are, but I really enjoy using laser weapons, and I think Borderlands, the pre-sequel, that's one of the saving graces about Borderlands, the pre-sequel, because there's a lot of really crappy guns. You can find just any shotgun, any assault rifle, any sniper rifle, it'll be crap, but basically every laser is good, in my opinion. The first one up is the Absolute Zero. It's a Molly-1 laser that has it has a small magazine. Oh, that's convenient. I happen to have the right one for that. It has a small magazine, but high damage. Since it's a Molly-1 laser, it has a high continuous damage bonus. As you can see, it's 218. I really like it. It's just a fun laser, and it's arguably better than the Thorny Old Rosie for just damage. Next up is the Excalibastard. If you're not familiar with what this gun is, it's a railgun that has a massive, for the cost of having a kind of a low fire rate. As you can see, it's a 1.1 fire rate. Does massive damage, has really high crit damage, has a melee attachment, and if you get a crit with either the melee attachment or with the firebolt, the laser bolt, it automatically freezes. I think it also can release a Nova, but don't quote me on that. I haven't gotten that to work. Um, Next up is the Laserdiscer. The Laserdiscer basically only works on Claptrap and Wilhelm, but I've seen it work on other characters too. It's a TDR laser. It's the only laser that's non-elemental. But it fires kind of these little balls of energy. Though you're not really going to use it for that. The reason why it's really good on Claptrap is because, you can throw it. It does massive damage when you reload it. As you can see, it put me the reload put me into fight for my life. I didn't really plan on dying, but the reload put me into fight for my life at a next to full magazine. It's a powerful laser. I wouldn't say powerful laser. It's a good laser weapon, but it's really good if you like TDR weapons, which Claptrap works well with those. And last up is the Thorny-Old Rosie. If you're not familiar with Thorny-Old Rosie, basically the whole point of it is it's a Molly 1 laser that just does massive damage. If you look at it, it has a 368% continuous damage bonus. Has a great magazine size at 86 and good damage, good fire rate. Basically, there's nothing wrong with it. It's a wonderful item, and I would recommend getting one if you can. It's just a great item. Next I want to go over... I'm sorry if this is boring. Next up, I want to go over some of the other weapons. I guess the assault rifles and SMGs, if I can find them all. Apparently that was it. I'll go over the 2 shotguns last. So next I have the Kerboom. The Kerboom is basically the same thing as the Kerblaster from Borderlands 2. It's not one of my favorite assault rifles, but of the assault rifles available, it's just really good. And it's kind of your traditional like rocket rifle, but it drops a grenade. I don't know if how well you can see that, but I'm going to try to fire into an area where you can see that better. As you can see, it kind of like drops off a little grenade. And the grenade alone is pretty powerful. Let me see if I can get... Yeah, they took a good chunk of my shield out. Except the IVF. IVF is kind of basically the same idea as the Laserdiscer. It's a decent gun, but the reload, because it's a TDR, is really powerful, and it can drop the 2 child grenades. If you're familiar with the Baby Maker from Borderlands 2, the IVF is basically the same thing. Lastly is the Kanada's Laser, which is one of my favorite rocket launchers. Obviously, the Norfleet from Borderlands 2 is my favorite rocket launcher, as is the Flacker. But the Kanada's Laser, not the Flacker, sorry. The one that drops from King Mong. Its name is escaping me. But I love the Kanada's Laser. The Kanada's Laser is essentially, it's a rocket launcher that's a laser, and if you shoot at your feet, you can't kill yourself. So you don't have, which unfortunately means you can't grenade jump with it, but it has massive damage. Oh, perfect. As you can see, it has almost 200,000 gun damage. Sorry, weapon damage. It has the same kind of regular reload of any TDR, but instead of shooting a rocket, it fires a quickly moving projectile, laser projectile. It's kind of the equivalent of throwing. I mean, it doesn't have as big of an explosion radius, unfortunately. So you have to be a little more precise with it. But if you're good at getting in those precise, I guess you could call them rocket snipes, this is an amazing weapon. And last but not the two shotguns before I go into the grenades, because there's just like 3 grenades basically. And those are the Ravager and the Torgmata. The Ravager is my favorite shotgun. It's the Torg shotgun that consumes 4 ammo per shot. I have a vertical grip on it because I like the vertical grip on my shotguns. And I don't remember what the other accessory is. I believe that is a I think it's a doll scope. I don't remember. But basically similar to the Fragnum, it just fires a barrage of explosive projectiles. It consumes, unfortunately, 4 ammo per shot, but basically that kills someone, that kills someone. It's just a massively powerful shotgun. And then the Torgmata is a similar shotgun. Unfortunately, it is the one that does 3, but it kind of drops off, as you can see, these like mini grenades that essentially kind of flak the battlefield. And each of those little poofs does damage. Luckily, they can't damage you. Yeah, luckily they can't do damage to you, but they are surprisingly powerful. So it's kind of good if you're able to, like, kind of not necessarily anticipate, but if you kind of like cheat to know where your opponent's going to go. If you have an idea, if you can plan out where they're headed and predict basically where they're going to be before they get there, you can hit them more effectively with the Torgmata, since it also has a better projectile speed than the Ravager. But I love the Ravager; it's my favorite shotgun. So now for the 3 grenades. First up is the Meganade. I prefer Meganade to be in shock or cryo, but it does not 1, not 2, but 3 singularities before doing a massive radius. I wasn't even planning on being in that radius, and it almost took me out. I'll throw another one just so you can see how big that is. Just a massive blast that almost killed me. The other 2 are the Snowball, which, if you're familiar with the Fastball from Borderlands 2, it's basically the same thing, except instead of being any element, it's only cryo. Interesting. Sometimes they explode right away, and sometimes it's the thing. Huh. I want to see if I can get it to kill me. As you can see, it took out about 2/3 of my shield. Massively powerful grenade. And then the last one, just for fun, I made a longbow cryo grenade using the exact same parts, just to show you what it would look like. Just to show you what it would look like if you didn't have the snowball mod on it. Oh, I'm out of grenades. Let's see if I can pick one up here. Oh, Moonstone. Almost as good. There we go. That's cool. I really don't actually need the longbow cryo grenade. I had that there mostly just because it kind of looked cool. But I'm going to toss that grenade now. In fact, I'm probably going to toss a few of these items. But anyway, those are some of my favorite items from Borderlands 2 and Borderlands the pre-sequel. Like I mentioned before, some of them couldn't be in this video, like the Nukem and the Plasma Casters. But I'd probably say, just hands down, my favorite items overall, Kanada's Laser and the Nukem, sorry, not the Nukem, Kanada's Laser and the Norfleet, the Fragnum / Unkempt Herald, love the Ravager, and then probably the Maggie and the Rosie. Anyway, thank you all for watching. I've been Metagross Freak. I hope I didn't bore you too much with this video, And let me know in the comments below, what are some of your favorite weapons from Borderlands 2 and Borderlands the pre-sequel? Hope to hear from you soon.